This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, team. In this Databricks Data Engineering Master Program, in today's session, we will talk about Excel and XML file handling, read and write operations. We will see for the Excel and the XML files. So we will learn mount blob storage container in Databricks. The reason is when we are writing data into the Excel and XML, you can't able to read the data just you can't able to just open and read it. You have to download into your local and you have to read the file. Okay, so that's why we will see how to create a mount blob storage container in the Databricks, so that if it is a mounted storage, from the mounted storage we can download the files, we can open the content. Okay, open the file and see the content. So first we will see how to mount blob storage container in Databricks. Already we discussed difference between CSV versus Excel. Steps to install library for reading Excel and reading XML. So we can't able to read the Excel and XML files directly, so we need a okay, so we need a special libraries for this. So we will discuss what libraries we need for installation. Okay, so what libraries we need for installation will be discussing. Okay, then we will be talking about the Excel file operations, such as reading Excel file with a default sheet name. So first let's understand what is the difference between CSV versus Excel team. Can you quickly tell me what is the difference?
CSV text file and it has only one sheet, but Excel contains multiple tabs, multiple files in one file.
CSV will have a only one sheet, Excel will have a
Multiple tabs, multiple files.
multiple sheets. Okay, tabs means you need to say those as a sheets. Okay, so remember team, CSV will have only one sheet, but whereas Excel will have a multiple sheets. Okay, I'll show you that practically. For example, if you open a Excel, okay, so if you open this, now if I want to save this file as a CSV, I can able to save, isn't it? So if I have one Rama, I can able to save this as a CSV. I can save same as a Excel as well. But if I add one more sheet to it, okay, here I have a okay product ID, product name. Okay, now this is a product data is the sheet 2, sheet 1 is a customer data. Now if I am getting a data like this, can I able to save this as a CSV? Let's see. Okay, let's go to desktop. Maybe I'll try to save this as a comma delimited. Okay, what is the error it is saying? The
Sir,
selected file, that is nothing but CSV file type, does not support workbooks that contains a multiple sheets. CSV won't support the multiple sheets. If you want to still save them as a CSV, save sheet 1 as a separate CSV, sheet 2 as a separate CSV file. If you want to save all the sheets as a single workbook, that workbook won't be supported by CSV. So if you want to create a workbook with multiple sheets, you need to go with the Excel file, Excel SX or XLS extensions, you need to use it. Understood? Same, if I try to save this as, okay, maybe let it be somewhere, it's okay, otherwise we'll go and save it in the, see, book 1 Excel workbook, save it. There won't be any error because it can be saved. Close it, so it is not throwing any error even when you closed it. That's how the CS will have a single sheet, whereas Excel is going to have a multiple sheets. Team, remember that. So this Excel to read, we don't have direct syntax called format of Excel. How we have format of CSV, format of Parquet, format of Avro, like that. We don't have directly format of Excel thing. So you need to use a libraries, third-party library for Excel and Databricks library for the XML to read it. I'll show you. So we will see how to read Excel files with the default sheet name. Default sheet name means, can you guess it? So now you understood sheet means sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4. Maybe those sheet names can be renamed as well as per your requirement, as per your need. But the thing is, when I say reading Excel file with the default sheet name means, can you guess it and tell me which sheet it is going to read? Default.
Sheet 1.
Sheet 1. Okay, so that is what the default sheet name means. Custom sheet name means, maybe if you want to read it directly sheet 3 or sheet 4, you can able to pass it. We will discuss how to pass it. Next, read Excel file with a custom sheet name with a range. So when I say range, let's say again go to Excel. Now let me try to show you some data. Okay, so for example, let's say Tim, what is this cell number? Can you tell me what is the cell number? Sai,
A2.
what is that? See, Sai is, what is the cell number?
A2.
Eight, eight,
So this is what? A1. What is this? Selected one, team. A2. What is this? A3,
A3.
A4.
eight,
Can you tell me what is this?
F3.
F3, F3,
What is this?
C3.
C3.
Now if I say A2 to C3, A2 to C3, can you guess it what it means? A2 means, A2 means Sai, correct?
Right.
C3 means developer, meaning A2 to C3 means it has to start from here and end here, meaning it is going to read only these two rows. Understood? It is going to read only these two rows. Row number 2 and 3, team. Understood? Everybody clear on that? That's how you can also pass a range. Writing data frame to a Excel file with the default sheet name. While writing also, if you're not giving any sheet name, by default it will create a sheet name as a sheet 1 and it will write it. But if you want to write data frame data to the Excel file with some specified sheet name, you can do that. We will see. Writing data frame to Excel file with a custom sheet name with a range. Let's say when I'm writing the data, I can also write data from A7. Hey, can you add the data from A7 to the existing sheet? I can ask. This is A7, right? So this data example, it is there in the data frame. If I want to ask to save it from A7, it will save it from A7. Like that, while writing also you can put that range. Next. So already we will be discussing reading XML, the library installation. Now we will talk about XML file operations. Reading single XML file with the custom tags, reading multiple XML file with the custom tags, writing data frame to XML with the default tags and the custom tags. Both we will discuss. But before that, you should understand, while reading the XML, I said reading a single XML and reading a multiple XML files. But when I'm reading the Excel file, I did not mention single or multiple. Can you guess it? Can we read multiple Excel files at a time? No. Remember, it is not possible to read multiple Excel files at a time. But multiple XML files you can read at a time. Writing data from to XML with the default tags and custom tags is also possible. Okay. Mount blob storage container in Databricks, just I want to quickly revise today. What are these?
Widgets,
Widgets.
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 or what?
Creating the widgets.
Parameters.
Creating widgets is nothing but a creating parameters. What you are doing here?
Reading
Checking
parameters.
You
the
created parameters, you are reading the values of the parameters and you are using here to create a mount point. Okay, so just I want to revise all these things. Anyhow, we are mounting, I don't want to simply hard code it. So that's why we will be going this way. Okay, mount point, you know, no need to discuss too much on that. Install Excel and XML library. These are the steps, team. We need to go to clusters. We need to click on the cluster on which you want to install the library. So once you click on that cluster, it will show the uh, cluster configurations. It will show Spark UI. It will show event logs. It will show libraries. So maybe you have not seen, but we will see. We will go to libraries. We will click on install new. Then we will select the Maven, go to Maven central repository. There we need to use the Crealytics library for read the Excel file. What is the library name?
Realtics.
Okay, correct. So we will be using a Crealytics library to read the Excel. Okay, so very similar to that. While installing the XML, so you need to do same steps. Only thing is, instead of Crealytics library, you need to go with the Databricks library. Databricks XML library. Okay, so there is small mistake is there here. One second. Yeah, now it's correct, team. Now you see this is a com.databricks colon spark hyphen XML. Here spark hyphen Excel to read Excel, spark hyphen Excel to read XML, spark hyphen XML. Okay, so fine. Spark Excel operations, if you see headers is mandatory option while reading the Excel. If you don't have headers in your file, just mention header comma false, but mentioning this option is mandatory whether it is a true or false. Specifies whether the first row of the CSV file contains a column headers. If set to true, the first row is used as the column names. If you are not setting it as a false, by default it will consider as a false only, but it will mention, you have to mention header comma true, otherwise it will throw error because it's a mandatory parameter. Info schema. Info schema, you know, it scans the data to get the data type. This is how you can put it. But you know, instead of just mentioning info schema comma true, what is the other thing that you can mention, Tim, to improve the performance?
sampling ratio or scale.
Sampling ratio. Okay, so that's why we will go with the sampling ratio. But before that, let's talk about data address. Data address is basically used for mentioning the sheet name. If you're not mentioning the data address, by default it will read the sheet 1 which you have in the Excel. But if you mention data address is particular sheet I want to read, it will read only that particular sheet. Understood, everybody? Sampling ratio, you know, instead of scanning everything, will be scanning a part of the data. So you can see your option sampling ratio 0.1, so that you will be reading only 10% of the data to get the data types. Okay, now reading Excel file, if you see, this is how the Excel file will look like. If you see here, we have a sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3 and sheet 4. So what is the sheet 4 name? Cloud Pandit 2. Okay, like this. Now first reading you can see, so I am simply putting spark.read. Format of library that we have mentioned, we need to use com.crealytics.spark.excel. We should not use simply format of Excel, we can't use. Okay, it won't support. We need to use third party library. That Crealytics library we need to install and we need to use that format. Option header comma true, option info schema comma true, load from this particular Excel. So now when you say this, tell me which sheet it will read from out of all this.
Last one. Cloud one.
One. Who it will read last one? Yeah. Till now we discussed, again you are
Sheet one.
coming back. last one? Huh?
First one, by default, takes sheet 1.
That is what we discussed again when I came here, and as it is selected here, you are thinking this will be taken. No, I told you. So you need to be strict to the point stream. Okay, we already discussed. So the default sheet, if you are not mentioning, is it will take it as a sheet 1. It is not like sheet 1. Whatever comes first. So from the, so here if you see, the first sheet that you have here is sheet 1. Next is sheet 2. Next you have sheet 3. Next you have a sheet 4. That is nothing but a cloud Pandit 2. So that's why default it will read sheet 1. When I mention this, which sheet it will read?
Cloud Pandit 2.
Okay. Now it is going to read the Cloud Pandit 2 sheet because we mentioned the sheet name. Next, if I mention this, can you tell me what it is going to read, Tim?
Oh, range not equal to A to C3 means apart from that, it will read remaining.
It will
It's
read
going to
Sai.
read from
So
the
you are, I don't know what happened to you today. So you are telling everything reverse now. A2 to
A2 to
C3 means
C3.
it reads only data from A2 to C3. That is nothing but a Sai to developer. So that is what I already discussed till now. You are again saying reverse. Apart from the A2 to C3, everything it will read, you are saying.
Oh, I see not symbol. That's why I got confused.
Now that is just to mention the range.
Okay. Usually we use for not, right? So that's why I got that. Okay.
A2 to C3 means it reads from Sai to developer. Okay. Fine. Because you see a sheet name when I mentioned, I put semi like a
Got
colon
it.
here.
Now I got
Sorry,
it. Yeah.
exclamatory. So what it indicates is it is indicates the sheet name. Everything it has to read. When you mention the range, it reads particular range. Okay. Next.
Yeah.
Writing. So when I give like this, what is the sheet name it will create? Okay, one more thing. While reading only, if you see here, at the time of reading, always I mention the Excel file name. I'm not reading entire folder. I am not reading all .xlsx files because while reading Excel file, it is mandatory you to mention the sheet name. It can't read a entire folder. Okay, I'll show you some comments what errors it will give you. You can see that. Now tell me if I give like this, so what will happen? Will it create a Excel out one is a folder or Excel out one is going to be a file it will create? As per my discussion, you need to tell me.
Excel out one folder it will create.
Folder.
Okay. Excel out one is not a folder, it will create a file. You can see that. So you should not give like that. Just to tell you, first I'll execute this command and I'll show you that, team. The second command I'll give it as a cust.xlsx. Now Excel out to folder it will create. Under that it will create a cust.xlsx. But here as you have not given any file name, so the last name whatever you have given it will consider as a file name. If you are not given extension, it will ignore simply extension and it will create Excel out one as a file. So I'll show you practically. Next. What is the difference between previous write statement and this write statement? Tim, tell me.
Giving range. So A1.
I'm not giving range. I'm just telling sheet name and starting range. Okay, not
Yeah,
giving
like
complete range
A1.
from where to where. Starting range I
Right.
have given. Okay. Next, what I have given here?
Starting from A7.
Starting range. Okay, from A7 you have to give custody data is the sheet name. Okay. Clear, right? All this code. So this is the XML team. So XML file look like this. It has a, this is called employees is called a root tag. Under employees, this is he is a one employee. So this is called a one row. That's a row tag. This is another row. This is a again row tag. This is another row. That's why this details also a row tag. This is again one more detail, one more row. This is a row tag. That's why details is a row tag, which indicates a row. Employees is the main tag. That's why it is called a root tag. While reading, if you are reading like this, by default root tag it will consider as a rows. It will consider as a, what is the default root tag? Rows. What is the default row tag? Row. Now tell me, if you are trying to read like this, root tag consider as a this and row tag is considered like this. Is it matching with this data? Is it matching with this XML data?
No.
Okay, it is not matching with this XML data. Now my question to all of you is, do you think this data frame will read data from this file or not now?
Yes, it's good.
Okay, it will not read any data because root tag and row tags are not matching. So that's why now I need to give the option row tag is employees. Okay, so root tag is employees, row tag is details. When I have given like this, it will be reading the data. So if you see here, this is a single file I am reading, but here start.xml you can say, so that it reads the all XML files. Okay, the XML can able to read a multiple XML files. If the tags are matching, it can read multiple XML. Writing. So df1 I am just mentioning like this. Now what happened? Tell me what will happen to him when I write it like this. XML out is a folder or file? XML out is a folder or file?
Fine.
Fine.
The folder team. It's a XML. I talked about a Excel. Excel is basically can read data from a file, can write data directly into a file. It can't, you can't write it into the folder in with the default file name. But XML can be, it is very similar to our CSV, Parquet, Avro, those things. But only thing is XML required a Databricks library, but all other things are very similar to that. You can write it into the folder. Okay, you can't control that. But if you have a multiple partitions to write it into a single file, you can use a Koleskov one. Okay, so but already if you have written a data first time, if you try to reduce it to one partition and if you try to write the data, it will throw error because already data is available. That's why I will be using a Koleskov one. But as I have not used any tags, by default data will look like this. So what is the root tag here and row tag here? Root tag is rows and row
Rows.
tag is
Row.
okay. So that's how the data will come if you are not mentioning any tag name. But while writing, if you are given some tag name, so it will come like this. Customers is the root tag and user is the row tag. As per the given tags, it will write the data. Clear team? Any confusions here?
No.
Okay. Hands-on step. So let's quickly jump into the hands-on steps now. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to go to portal.azure.com. Let's create a storage account for data. Okay, create storage account. Cloud Pandit, click OK. Cloud Pandit, Blob, click remove this click. Click creative. Come to the second tab, Databricks Community Edition. Log in into the Databricks Community Edition login. Cloud Pandit @ out, sorry, Cloud Pandit ADB 66. I'm entering some password. Click sign. Come to compute. Click on create compute. Click create computing. So after that, go to read, write Excel and XML. Okay, we are here. So this is the blob storage. Blob storage is ready. So within the blob storage team, now what I will do, I will go to containers. I will create a one container called global. Under global container, I can create some folders and upload the data. I'll show you that. But come to access keys. You can see we have a storage name is this, access key is this, container name is global. Come here. If you see here, db utils dot with just the text. Storage name we need to pass it through the parameter. Container name we need to pass it through the parameter. Storage key we need to pass it through the parameter. When we pass it through parameters, here I am reading and assigning to the storage underscore name, container underscore name, storage underscore key. These things we are passing here. Container name, storage name, here storage key. Same storage name can be passed here as well because this is also mandatory. Instead of hard coding, we want to pass it here also. Okay. This is how you have to put the container name, storage name, container name, storage. Clear thing? Okay. Now let's attach this notebook to the cluster team. So if you see, this is the cluster which is available. Now I can just execute this. Okay, so let's pass the values. What is the container name? Global. Storage key, I'm copying this. For now I'm hard coding, but you can pass the secret name. Okay, storage name. So with this you can read the values and then you can start creating the mount point. So one important thing is the safest way is you need to check the existing mounts. mnt/global, is it really available? Currently it is not available, so I can simply go and create. If it something is available, you can unmount it. To mount it, now let's see the mount points once again. See, mnt/global. Now let me validate whether it is accessible or not. Okay, so it is accessible, but only thing is mnt/global, under that you don't have any folders or files, that's why it is empty edition. Now let's understand reading Excel and writing Excel. So as you know, you can able to read only one Excel at a time. So what I can do is, now you have to come to the data sets 26 Excel. So first let me open this sheet and show you what is the data that you have. See, cloud pandit underscore excel1.excel. So CNAME. So there are two sheets. Sheet 1 is CID CNAME 1 Rama 2 Krishna. Sheet 2 is CNAME C location role. This is what we have. Okay. So this particular Excel sheet I will be uploading under our blob storage.
Storage.
Let's go here. Yeah. Go to containers. Let's go inside global. Let's upload. Browse for files. Cloud Pandit data, no, 2024 syllabus, ADB, datasets, 26, Excel. Select the first Excel. Excel data. Okay. See, under Excel data subfolder, I uploaded this file. Now come here. Now let's ask for, is there any folders or files? Yes, Excel data folder is there. Under that, there are files as well. Now, we need to, if you see, let's start reading and writing Excel. You need to install the Crealytics libraries. How to install is, these are the steps. But before that, let's try to read it. What is the folder team? Excel data only, right? Excel data. So this is the same file name. So if you see, it is saying Spark class not found exception. Okay, fail to find the data source XLSX. It is not able to find the format data source XLSX because it won't support directly. Now, in order to install the library, you can just take a duplicate of this because I don't want to move the same tab here and there. So as part of the steps team, first you need to go to the cluster, on which cluster you want to install the library. Go to compare. So this is the cluster. Click on this cluster. So we are here, right? So you can see here you have a lot of options: notebooks, libraries, event logs, Spark. Your libraries is the tab where you need to install. But before you go into library, what is the Scala version that we are using? Can you tell me? What is the
2.1.
2.12, 2.12? Okay. So go to library. Remember that 2.12. You go to libraries, install new. Okay. Go to Maven tab. Under Maven tab, search for packages. So there will be a Spark package. Instead of that, you need to go to Maven Central. Here you need to search for Spark-Excel. You can see there is a Crealytics libraries. So there are different versions will be there. So you can take. So what is the Scala version? 2.12, right? So here also it
2.12.
should be 2.12. 2.12, yes, correct. 2.12. Here you can see 2.12. So Spark-Excel 2.12. So this version you can able to install it. Okay. Now I am showing from the beginning again because it's the first time. So in the clusters, click on the cluster on which you want to install. Come to libraries. Click on install new. Click on Maven. Search packages. Go to Maven Central. So here you need to say Spark-Excel. As I want Spark 2.12 with the 3.2.2 release, you can just take this as a release. Click select it. Then click install. That's it. Okay. So now what you need to do, it is very simple to form the library with the format. Now the format is, you copy here from here to here everything up to Excel. Keep everything here and remove com.crealytics.spark.excel. This is the format. Spark.read.format you need to use like this. But as I mentioned, option is mandatory while reading the Excel. So that's why option header comma true you need to mention. Understood? True or false based on the whether you have those whether you have the headers or not. Okay. Come here. Now you see when we, so after installing also XLSX won't support because it is not the format that you need to use. What I said, com.crealytics.spark.excel you need to use dot load. Will it work or not? Will it work or not, team?
Yes, it will work.
No,
Yeah, but it
header,
so
header,
second error is header it will force,
It
but
will,
this error will not come. See, Spark
yes.
class not found error is not coming. only it is saying header is missing. Now I added header comma true. Let's try to read it. Okay, what is the sheet name it is reading by default? So you
Sheet
can
1.
remember. Sheet 1 it is reading. One second, let me open that file once again. So this is the same file we uploaded, team. So by default it is reading a Cloud Pandit 1, which is nothing but a sheet 1. So when it comes to the sheet 2, Cloud Pandit 2, if you want to read this, you need to mention explicitly. Okay, but before that you can see your header what happens, string it is considering both. So that's why I have used info schema comma true to improve the, like, to scan the data and get the proper data types instead of leaving them as a string. See, this is a double, this is a string. Okay, next, header comma true, info schema comma true, sampling ratio 0.1, 10%, data address is Cloud Pandit 2. So meaning sheet 2 we are trying to read 10% of the data. Sheet 2 we are trying to read. See, this is a sheet 2. This is a sheet 2. As I mentioned, data address Cloud Pandit 2 exclamatory. It is reading everything. Understood, team? Data address, you need to put the sheet name. Next, come down. Spark.read. Format of com.crealytics.spark.excel. Header comma true, option info schema comma true, data address Cloud Pandit 2. So load. So if you see here, I'm mentioning here till now sheet name, that's why it's working. But now let's say start.xlsx I'll use. Now see what will happen. What it is doing, wildcard options won't support basically. That's why it is throwing a file not found exception. It is trying to find the file with the name star.xlsx. It is not considering star as a wildcard. It is considering as a star as a file name. With this file name, you don't have any Excel file. It is saying. Okay, next, can't read all Excel file from the folder. So I'm trying to read all the Excel file from the folder. Now you see only one Excel file is there, but that one Excel file also it can't read. The reason is whenever you are reading Excel file, you must have to give the sheet name. You must have to give the sheet name. Clear? See here. While reading or writing Excel file, we must have to mention file name. Crealytics library won't support reading multiple files from folder or using wildcard option. Crealytics library won't support writing data frame to a folder. Okay, remember that. Now what I am doing? Now I am giving the proper sheet name so I can able to read the data. Okay, team. What is the difference between these two? I think these two are same limit. Yeah. Now if you see here, first of all, I am making header is a false. If you see your header is true. One second thing. Yeah. I think this cell is also required. Header comma false I mentioned. What will happen? So if you mention simply header comma false is headers will go into the data. Headers went into the data and the default address is added. But now what I am saying, okay, I don't want headers. That's why I'm saying header comma false. But instead of reading from the beginning, can you start, see what is happening? You said header is not there. But if you say header is not there, it will consider that everything is a data. It will keep everything as a data. But I am saying, hey, I know there is headers, but I don't want to use these as a header. So I want to ignore the headers and I want to start reading data from the A2 from Sai. So that's why what I said, header comma false. I'm ignoring the headers and from the A2 I am reading. See, sheet name exclamatory A2 I mentioned. So what it does is it is going to read from the A2 Sai Anu. See, now headers are not there in the data. Clear all of you, team?
That's one.
Is it clear to all of you, team? Yeah.
Yes.
Come. Now what I'm doing here, tell me, header false, but I'm reading data from A2 to A2 means A2 to C3 here. Only these two rows I'm reading. Let's see now. Are we getting only those two rows or not? You can validate. Are we getting only those two rows? Yes. But what you can also do is header comma true you can mention. Header comma true you can mention. Starts from A1 only, but read up to C3. Okay, 1 second, Tim. I think this sheet is a little different sheet. Let me take only this code. Let me keep this code here. Here itself, I'll make it as a A1 to C3 header comma true. Now what happens? It is reading the header comma true, and sheet is it is reading from A1 to C3, meaning headers are set, and only it is reading the first two rows. Okay. Next. Okay, this is all about this. Now let me show you the other file that I have is top empty rows underscore excel1. So if you see, this is a top empty rows underscore excel. So it is having some empty rows. If you see, first row is empty. So same file, only thing is first row is empty. Okay. So for top empty rows, for this particular file, what is happening? There are empty rows. Let's see how to handle that. Now, first of all, go to global. Let's click on upload, browse for files. So what is the bad records? Okay. So the folder in which I want to upload this is bad records. So under bad records folder, I uploaded this top empty because you can't open it and see the data. It has a multiple sheets and all. You can't read it. Okay. That's why I have shown you today like this. So now I am trying to read header comma true cloud pandit 1 colon A2. What is happening, team? So as the first row is empty, I set read from A2. So first row is header. Read from A2 I'm saying. Okay. But if you have a bad data like this, you must have to mention the sheet name because you want to skip some top rows, top empty rows. If you're not setting this, okay, if you try to read it, what is happening? What you understood here? So what is going to happen, team? By default, Excel can able to ignore the top empty rows. That's why it is not mandatory that you need to really take care of this. Okay. But when you are mentioning the sheet name, if you're not mentioning the range, if you're leaving like this, now what is happening? Now what is happening, team?
Till it consider.
Same.
Please consider. Okay. So that's why when you have a empty rows, it is not mandatory to handle, but it is highly suggested to handle it efficiently. Okay, it is highly suggested to handle it efficiently. Okay, whether you are mentioning or you are not mentioning, top rows will be ignored. But if you want to mention it, you can mention it. It is recommended to mention it. Understood? If you mention it as a false, so what is going to happen? Those headers went into the data. That's why now header comma true and option cloud pandit 2 exclamatory A2. So what we are doing, tip? So we are trying to read the data properly. Now if you're not giving this, what will happen? Is it ignoring top empty rows or not? Yes, it will ignore the top empty rows. Remember. Next. Okay, so now I am reading the data team from the Cloud Pandit to sheet name. So this is the data frame which has some null values. These null values I am replacing with NA, not applicable. So if you want to replace null with something, df dot fill NA. NA means nulls. NA means nulls I want to fill with. What is the value? Whatever value you want to fill with, you can fill. No data available. So something like that. Anything you want to fill, you can fill it. See, no data is coming. Now come here. This is the data frame 1 that I am writing into this. Now tell me, will it write it into the folder or will it? So tell me, Excel out 1 is a file or folder?
File.
File,
It's a
Fine.
Manoj.
file, not a folder. It will not create a folder. But we are trying to write it into the folder. But now you see Excel how it will behave. Come here, go back to the global, refresh it. Are you seeing it as a folder or file? Excel out 1
File.
file. And what is the data that we expected? You can't able to open it and read. So that's why it is, you need to download this file. Okay, the problem with this Excel out 1 is it is not having proper extension to open it properly, right? So you can't able to open it conveniently. So that's why what you need to do, this Excel out, if you double click on this, it will say select an app to open Excel out 1, more apps. So it is not able to identify. So where I can able to open, because there is no extension for this. So in such cases, you have to click on file, open this PC, browse it, go to downloads, still, go to, what is the sheet name? What is the sheet name on
Excel.
security?
Excel out. I think you have to
Oh,
change the
okay.
drop down option. You need to change, I think, Manoj. All Excel files.
Okay, correct. That's correct. Thank you. See here, Excel out 1. So that, okay, open it. Now it will open. Okay, see, this is what, no data, we filled it. So the cleaned data we have written into the target, it is showing like this. Clear? So the first thing is clear to all of you, correct? Now let's say I mention it as a custard.xlsx. Okay, so custard.xlsx. Now what happens? The folder will be created, Excel out 2. So under that Excel out 2. So this is just to say that file is created. This is 0 byte. Just to say that Excel out is the folder is created automatically. Inside the Excel out folder, you have custard.xl file. But this file also you need to download it in order to see the data. Download. Now you can, as it is having extension, you can directly double click, it will open it here. See here, is it coming same data? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now come here, come down. Append will add data to a new sheet instead of appending data to existing sheet in Excel workbook. If Excel sheet is having sheet 1, if you execute append command, then it will add a sheet 2. Okay, in overwrite mode, data won't change. For example, now what happens? I am using a append operation. Let's execute it. I have not mentioned any sheet name. What will happen? So for this custard.xlsx, already sheet 1 is there. Now it will add a one more sheet, because it's a append operation, right? Now let's see, is it really added the new sheet or not? You can see. Click on this, download this, double click on this. So this is a cust. This is a cust earlier one. Now you can see cust of 1. So it is having a 2 sheets. Why? Because the append operation means it will add a new sheet and it will add the data to the new sheet. Understood, team? Everybody understood that? Next, come here. Crealytics mode is append option header comma to custody.xls. Now what will happen if I append one more time, team? Can you guess it? What will happen if I append one more time?
One more time.
One more.
One more sheet called sheet 3 will be added now. Now what happened? Sheet 3 will be added. Let's see that. You are able to see, right? Sheet 3 is added. Okay, like that. Now if you see here append operation only, but I am saying I am giving a proper sheet name, cust data exclamatory A1. It's a append operation, right? Append means it can simply add this sheet to the existing workbook. Already 3 sheets are there. Now I added a custom sheet. Now custom sheet also appended to the existing data. Now you can click on it. Now you can see custom data. So the custom sheet name is added. Understood, team? Come here.
Yes.
So now what I am saying, custody data exclamatory A7. A7 means for custody data, A7 means from here onwards I want to write the data. Okay, from here onwards I want to write the data. Now while writing, if you don't want headers, you can ignore the headers. Only data will be appended from A7. Understood? You can see that. One thing is header is mandatory. Now if you don't want headers to be written, you have to say header comma false. Okay, it's done. Now come here, refresh it. Now click on this, click on download. After download, click on this. Okay, now you can go to custody data. Now you see from 7 onwards, data is appended or not. Only data we have appended, because header false means headers will not be written. Only data will be written. Data, you can see whatever data you have, same data is added from the A7. Understood, team? Next.
Sorry.
Now if I simply say overwrite, what will happen, team? All the
Nothing.
sheets will be removed.
Alright.
And we will have a complete fresh worksheet with the custody data one as a sheet. With sheet it writes data from A1. Now you can come here, refresh it, download this, open this, see here. So fresh sheet removed all the sheets, it's simply added. That's how the override behave. This is how the append will behave in the Excel. Okay, yeah, that's all about the Excel file, team. Please let me know if you have any questions with the Excel. Excel is very rarely we will use, but we still have to understand that. Okay, any
But yeah,
questions?
if you have very large Excel files, right? Do you
Hmm.
think it will have issues like when we have like very large size Excel files?
No, you don't have any problem. You can able to read, you can process it. It's similar to CS. Only thing is how to read is different. That's it. But there won't be any problem even if you have a big data. Okay.
Okay, because we tried it in ADF and it was showing us error, the very large file. Because the size
But
of the Excel
database
file.
enable time. Only the problem is, so we are reading data from a single file, and CSV is not much is splittable. Not much is splittable means, say as per the 128 MB, if you have a 1 GB file, it should create 8 partitions. But Excel or CSV, these things won't support splitting it into the 8 partitions and all. It is not much supported. But if it is a Parquet, Avro, ORC, those are splittable nature is having. So that is the one biggest problem. If it is not able to split it, if it is a single partition, maybe that much memory may not be available on a single node to handle it. So in such cases, you may get errors. Understood? If you have a 500 GB file, for example, or 100 GB file, but 100 GB memory you don't have to handle. So there will be a problem. But if it is allowing us to split it, it is easy for us to handle it. So maybe such type of errors will be there, but it's very rare. Okay, Excel will have that much big data and all.
So if you have the very large Excel files, so it's preferred to use the Databricks than the ADF.
No, Databricks is preferred to use Databricks. If Databricks is having a problem with the Spark, you can go even with the plain Python. Using Pandas library, you can able to handle it
Okay, thank you.
because it is not using in-memory concept, right? So you can able to handle it. But only thing is it is a slow. That's it.
Okay, but the file size was not large. File size was around like 700 MB. It's not even like 1 GB.
For 700 MB and all, you can able to handle it. It's easy.
Okay. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
next. Let's talk about the reading and writing XML team. So same, very similar to this. Okay, first let's go and put some XML data, right? So go here, upload. Even XML data you can able to look at here from here, so that's why it is easy. And Excel and XML both files I'm uploading it. What is this? This is a XML data. XML. Now I can upload this thing. So now you see we are uploading the data into the XML data. I think that is created inside this. It's okay. Let me re-upload again. So this is a XML data folder I want to create and upload this. Now you can see XML data folder is created. Now if you see the Excel files, it has a tags, right? So employees is the root tag, details is the row tag. You can able to view the data. Very similar to that. Employee and details only will be there for here also. Here also employees and details only will be there. Okay. Now come here. Now what I'm saying, first let's try to use a XML and try to read the data. Same problem, right? Spark class not found exception. Very similar steps. You need to again select the cluster on which we want to install. Go to libraries, install new, go to Maven, search for packages, go to Maven Central. You need to say Spark-XML. It's a direct Databricks. Only one will be there, 2.12, which is a Scala version. Select it. Click install. Same team format is com.databricks.spark.xml. Just you need to put your colon hyphen place dot dot. Okay, it is installed. Now come here. So I'll be trying to use this. Let's see now what will happen. Will I be able to read any data here or not? No. Why I am not able to read data? Because tags are not matching.
Roads. Yeah.
Tags are root tag is rows, row tag is row, but with that there is no data. That's why you need to mention a custom tags to read the data type. So I am reading a single XML file by mentioning the tags. Okay, you can say single file, but you can also read a star.xml to read all XML files that you have in a folder. Only if you have XML files, even you don't need to give this star.xml. You know that, right? So that's how you have a two file stream. That's how you have a two files. You can see that here. Now input file name, you know, because the data came from two files. I also wanted to know which records came from which file. You can use the input file name. You can see first few records, first 4 records came from the XML1. Next 4 records came from the XML2. Clear? If you come down, so this is the DF1. That is nothing but this one. This is the DF1. This DF1 I am writing. The format is this, and I am saving into the XML out. Now what will happen if I try to save it? How many files you read, team here? How many files you read? DF.
2.
2 files you read means how many partitions will be there?
2 partitions.
No, it is T. Okay. Here
One
you can see
partition.
two partitions it read. Okay. Two partition because it is reading the data. So very similarly here also you should have a, it is showing only one. But I think it is just considering and handling as a one. 1 second, let me just check it here. How many partitions are there? Because it is not really doing all these things on all the partitions. See now, there are two partitions we have because we are reading a two files. Now what you need to do is when you write it really, it will execute two tasks. Let's see now. Let's execute this because it is not really affecting on two partitions. Now you see there are two partitions are there. That's why it is trying to write a two partitions into the target. Now when it write the data into the two partitions, what happens to here? Two files will come. Say XML out. So two part files. So each part file will have a one respective source file data. See by default as you are not giving any tags, so rows is the root tag, row is the row tag. Similarly for the second file also, C312A, which is a root tag and this is a row tag. If you see numbers, building ID, if you see A, that 320A, 313A, 314A, 315A is there. But here in the part 0 file, it is having a plain number 301, 303, 304, 305 like this. Understood it? Now df1.colescaf1.write format of this and write it into this. Now I am trying to write it into this. Colescaf1 means what we are trying to do?
Represent partition.
Reducing the
We are
partition.
trying to reduce the partitions to one so that now the entire data will be written into a single file. Now tell me, will it work or not? As already data is available, will it work or not? What is the default mode, team? Error. Default modes we discuss, right? Error. If already data is there, it will throw error. So that's why you need to use a mode is overwrite or append to write it. But while writing data to the XML, only overwrite is supported. Append won't support. Okay. Now you see we have overwritten the data, but the problem with this is the data is written into the default tags. Here rows and rows. That is the problem. Now what we want to do? So we want to put a proper tags to write the data into the XML. Now you can see, come here, refresh it. Now you can look at the data here, edit. Now you can see customers is the root tag, user is the root tag. User is the root tag. You can see that. Come here. Now df1.colescaf1 one file I am writing into a single file. Mode is append. So into the same I am trying to append it. It will throw error because append mode is not supported by com.databricks.spark.xml. So whenever you are using XML won't support appending the data. Always you need to overwrite only. Okay, that's it, Tim. That's it for today. Any other questions, Tim? Please let me know. Okay, if no questions, then thank you. That's all.